most importantly, what's the pain point you're really trying to solve faster? But we realized was that accuracy is the heart of this, because accuracy is what means that you don't have to kind of guess what a store needs. But if the store can tell them exactly how much is in that store, then they can take that data, they can trust that data. And now their job almost changes. Now it's about delivering what the store is asking for.
Hey guys, good afternoon. This is Michael Beck and Chad Horn here with the Chat GTM podcast. Chad, what number are we on today?
Oh, well, it's not in the episode title, so 17?
All right, so we can fudge it. Maybe it's 17, maybe it's 16, but what it is it's really important. This one is near and dear to our hearts. On stage with us and on mic and on camera is Mr. David Greschler, CEO of a company they call NomadGo. Hey, David.
Hey there. Hey, guys. Great to see you both.
Welcome to our pod.
Fun conversation.
So, yeah, because we're going to dig in. This is different. So for those of you guys that know us, one of the things we do is we help companies get to market. It's how is our stock and trade what we do. And we are fortunate enough to be working with this fantastic company, fantastic team. And sorry, David, you might blush a little bit. This fantastic CEO, David Greschler. We've been working with Nomad, gosh, almost going on a year. We're coming up on a year.
Yeah.
Right. And what I know about Nomad, I'm so excited because I think the world would be so much more stoked if they knew what you brought to market. Like this is different, right? And I'll stop with the preamble, but I gotta get this out. Like I've done inventory for 16 or so years. Selling inventory solutions. I know this part inside and out. There's been lots of innovation around the idea of how you calculate it, how you figure out your variances, all that stuff. Once the data's in the system, there's all kinds of stuff that's happened around innovating in that way. And the reality is that for the last, I don't know, Chad, how long they've been counting stuff?
2,000 years. Or so.
2,000 years? Yeah.
I think it's maybe longer. My view on it is like 5,000 to 6,000.
Yeah,
ever since like farmers began planting seeds and counting how many plants that were up.
So since the dawn of man,
right? Like we're talking back in the beginning. So since the dawn of man, we've been doing things kind of the same way. We have these things we call fingers. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Somewhere somebody got cute and said, well, I took a stick and a clay something and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 when I counted, and that was called cuneiform. And then somewhere in Egypt or China or wherever, papyrus is invented, they started writing stuff with some kind of ink or charcoal on some version of paper, and then they invented better paper, and then they invented digital paper. And they still went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You know what, guys? Even today, with barcodes, they're still just going, blink, tell me what product I'm looking at. And then they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then they tap into the little barcode reader and then they type 5.
Yep.
Nothing has changed until NomadGo.
Yeah, so since the dawn of time, like literally, this is the first big innovation in this sense.
When people ask me, what do I do? We're like, we're going to change the way people count. How profound is that?
And you might get mad at me because I've actually said this to people. They go, what is Nomad? I go, it is a very smart purple Muppet that does one thing really well. 1, 2, 3. And it dumps it right in the system.
You got it. So yeah. So what we do, just to be clear, is we have changed that behavior, the purple Muppet and everything between that, into taking out your smartphone, taking out a tablet, and just like a magic wand, scan shelves, scan make lines, just go back and forth And not only does it recognize the item, say a bottle of mustard, but it can count how many are behind each.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real magic here. And it happens instantaneously because everything is actually happening right on that device. There's no sending pictures to the cloud, blah, blah, blah. That's all science projects. That's not real. Real is give me feedback instantaneously. And it creates an augmented reality world where you get feedback and it says, oh, yeah, that's mustard and there's 5 of them. Oh, that's ketchup and there's 2 of them. There's peanut butter. There's 1 of them. There's jelly. There's 6 of them, right? All in real time. If you go to our website, we've got a video playing right on the front page. It shows it, but it really is that magical. And because of that, it means people are doing inventory 10 times faster, right? With 99% accuracy. And we should drill into what I mean by that, but that's the bottom line. What that means is that you've got an ability to do inventory not only more accurately to know exactly what's on hand, but more frequently. Because at the end of the day, having more accurate and more frequent data is the key to eliminating waste and stockouts. And waste is our COGS. And that means you're just throwing away money. And stockout means I don't have that product for you, Mr.
Sorry, happy customer. You don't get your favorite thing.
And so you're not happy. You walk away unsatisfied, and I didn't take money from you. So you've just lost sales. So it's top line and bottom line impact.
So, Chad, I know you're going to have some questions.
I have a burning one.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to come to Origin after you get done because I want to know how else will start. But go ahead, Chad.
Yeah, just because, just to kick things off early, one of the coolest things that I've experienced since working with you guys, and I know your company's a handful of years old, so this didn't just come out, yesterday. Of course, NomadGo is going to be better than previous solutions that count things in our industry. What's been rather surprising to me is how much better it is in 2 ways. Better than how other industries have solved this problem, because the restaurant industry doesn't usually have first mover advantage with some new solution. Maybe even crazier, though, is since you guys have come out, I've seen other companies try to solve the same problem in inferior ways. You'd think that advantage of knowing you guys exist and have the benefit of time, someone else will go, oh yeah, I can do that, but I got this other twist on it. No, we've seen people try to solve counting in less practical ways, with like voice AI, for example. Well, that leaves some gaps, right? So that's been really impressive. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And I'm curious, for you perspective, leading this, why you think that might be the case.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. It makes me think about how we came to the solution. And, I think the key is thinking about your customers' needs and then not asking them necessarily for the solution. That's our job. Ford once said, if I asked customers what they would want, they would have said a faster horse, right? And that's a perfect characterization of what being an entrepreneur is, because, the customer's telling you what they need, but it's your job to invent the thing that they hadn't thought about, right? A car. So, it's the same exact thing here. We spent a lot of time with a few really large customers listening to their needs. A couple things we discovered right from the start: don't have anything like a fixed camera or installed. There's a weight sensors. There's all that stuff. That'll never scale. Right? You have to monitor. So that made us realize, oh, this actually has to be handheld. And in a way that goes against kind of this kind of unspoken language around, computers should be fully autonomous. AI should be fully autonomous. And I kind of went against it because it was like, no, now you do need a person. But because it's 10 times faster.
Well, we all know you got to get in the nooks and crannies in restaurants too. You got to get the stuff, right?
You got to get in the nooks and crannies. Every restaurant's a snowflake. Every, environment's different. And then, secondly, people are like, oh yeah, we'll send imagery to the cloud. It's like, have you tried to connect to a network in a restaurant? like there, like the a lot of stuff is stored actually in the basement. There's no network. So
Right.
it forced us to build a solution that does all the hard work on the device, even if you're not connected. Now, of course, you need to connect to send the results up, but it doesn't have to always be on.
So
And
this is a
so,
version of edge computing. We're talking. This is
yeah,
utilizing
this is
these devices as
on-device
edge.
computing,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
We're leveraging the power of the phone or the iPad. So low network has to work. No network has to work, right? Has to be able to get into the nooks and crannies. Therefore, you can't have a fixed camera. How do you get it into a refrigerator?
Right.
Right? And so that all came from really listening to customers, and then most importantly, what's the pain point you're really trying to solve? And sure, there's that, hey, wow, I can do it faster. But what we realized was that accuracy is the heart of this. Because accuracy is what means that you don't have to kind of guess what a store needs. Believe it or not, our customers have told us that they've lived with 85% accuracy. And what that means is they don't actually fully trust the data they're getting from that, what we call the last mile, the last inch,
Right.
that store. So they take the data the store gives them, and then they do all this kind of gyrations and predictions and blah, blah, blah to figure out how much should I actually deliver to the store. But if the store can tell them exactly how much is in that store, then they can take that data, they can trust that data. And now their job almost changes. Now it's about delivering what the store is asking for. And that means, again, it gets back to two key things. It means that the store will have what it needs. So no one coming up to the counter and finding out that a certain drink or food product isn't there, lost sales. Reverse of it, over ordering, which again leads to waste, which leads to, increased COGS.
Right. Hey, David, all of this is so dang exciting. And, when you start talking about, why you made it and who you're making it for, take us one more step back, because one of the people not represented on the call here, I think, Jonah, I think he's got a really interesting story to tell or be told for him, right? Can you give us just a little bit of insight there? Like, this is a really smart guy, and he's done some really cool things. And how did this even come together?
Sure. Well, Jonah came to me when he was in college, and he's half my age, so we're a good combo. He's like the young, bright guy, and I'm the old, experienced one. So you mix them together, and you get a good combination. He came to me originally with an idea using an iPad, doing something totally different, which eventually kind of required computer vision. And then we just listened to the customers. And then we ended up in pop-up booths, and then food service. Food service originally we were using it for speed of service, which was really interesting data the first week. Not so interesting data the second week.
Right.
Kind of boring data the third week. Because the problem with it is, with speed of service, is you have to act on it. And there are no known ways to act on speed of service, right? You've got to do a lot of changing, to
training and process around
all that, right? Versus there's already known activity about inventory. It's called ordering. We're not changing what you do. We're just making what you do much more accurate and 10 times faster.
So, David, I know there's a lot of people that would listen to this and go, they're thinking about their situation, right? Their inventory, and go, and they're going to, what about this? What about that? Like that, all of the exceptions and to these snowflakes, as you call them, or even at a brand level, where it's like they're just thinking about all these use cases that they're just not sure that you'd be able to handle that. Like, what have you seen? What are the broad stroke things? Like, you can handle those weird edge cases, or what are, and the flip side of what are those challenges where it might not work as well as pure automation?
This is almost a hardball question. I'd love to do this.
Bring it on, man.
All right, I got a couple too. Let's do these.
Okay.
Let's do these.
I got my pitcher's mitt ready to go.
All right.
It's a great question. Thanks, Chad. It gets back to listening to your customers. We're working with, many, many customers in the QSR space and the retail space. And, initially the whatabouts were like, oh, we got to go think about it, right? And what about a make line? We want to do daily prep counts and people are inconsistent, could you give us a more consistent way to do it and a faster way to do it and an automated way to do it? We've got that, right? And we're able to count what's in your prep line. Can you do refrigerators? Can you do freezers?
Yeah.
Walk-in refrigerators, right? Can you look into a box and count, how many items are in that box? It goes on and on. Can you count something if it's been merchandised from the front and pushed to the front instead of pushed to the back? Can you make it really easy to onboard new products? What about when we have an LTO and we need that new item? All that is in our platform. And, we have now found that that whatabouts have leveled out.
Whatabouts have leveled
steep
out.
Curve at first, but they've leveled out. And, we're always looking for those new challenges, those new hardballs, because they just make us better.
All right, I got a hard ball for you.
Yeah.
We're sloppy. We don't put our stuff away in order.
Okay, great.
I know how I answer that all the time. I'm curious though on yours because I know
think
the
it's
answer.
it's a really good question. Right?
Yeah.
Because so what we do have some organizational guidance.
Yep.
Either push to the back, same item behind each other, or push to the front, but same item. Don't want ketchup behind the mustard or whatever. And initially, some customers were like, "Oh man, that's a lift," and then all of a sudden, that became one of the business case reasons to buy our product, because when they implemented it, the feedback they got from their employees was, "Oh my God, my life's so much easier because now I know where to find the ketchup."
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not a mess around here. I'm not kind of clamoring through. Just by having a few of these little organizational principles, it's made it so much easier to get my job done. Now, I want to say, that said, that doesn't mean, one of the things about our product is you could put anything anywhere, okay?
Yeah.
You want to put a bottle of ketchup on, on shelf 1, 3 on shelf 2, and 4 in the refrigerator, okay by us. We'll tell you, hey, we saw 1 on shelf 1, 2 on shelf 3, and, 3 in the refrigerator. But we'll also tell you we saw a total of, whatever we saw.
So shelf to sheet is not so material to this conversation. It's
shelf
a nice
to sheet is dead.
Love it.
Okay. That is the most wasteful. I mean, you wouldn't believe when people hear that one. They start crying. They can't believe it. Because they're like, oh my God, I spend so much time keeping that organized. And if there's overflow of inventory and I put in a different spot, then it doesn't get counted. And forget about it. You can just scan with what we do, and we'll tell you where we've seen it and how many we've seen. And we'll aggregate them if they're in multiple locations.
I love that. Good answer on the messy, right? And when we're talking to folks for you, I was just thinking like my military days. You know what happens in the military if you don't do your job right? Everybody else on the team lets you know. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
I have a feeling if the rest of the team knows that your inventory could have been 5 minutes instead of 40, you're gonna or 30 or whatever that number delta is, they're gonna let you know, hey guy, can you just put this stuff away so we can go home sooner?
Yeah, but here's the thing: is like when they're working and they're looking for that bottle of ketchup, it's much more organized. So there's a benefit regardless of the counting of the inventory. It's the access to the inventory that also dramatically improves. I once had a customer, literally a client, one of their employees, tell us a story that they said, you realize I used to have to wake up at 3:30 in the morning to get to the store at 4:30 in the morning so I could do the count for an hour.
Yeah.
You've just, shaved off 55 minutes or 50 minutes from the time when I wake up. Now I can wake up at 4:20, but, which still is hard. But like, those are the things that matter. That's, people talk about AI this, AI that. Here's the beautiful thing. I think with our product, AI replacing manual inventory counts, there's not a single person out there who's going to complain about that. No one says, I love counting inventory manually. Okay. No one. They hate it. it's not why you work at a restaurant. You work at a restaurant because you want to deliver great food and great experiences for people, not because you want to sit in the back of the house at 4:30 in the morning or 10:30 at night, manually counting how many, cans of tomato.
Well, to that point, David, I mean, I just did back of the napkin math. If you return 45 minutes a day to that guy's life, and it's 5 days a week, right? Over a year, that's 8 days of his life you return to him.
Holy cow!
To do anything,
even if they only do inventory like twice a week with that,
right? Like
that's
time
8
is the only
days.
commodity. Yeah.
We need a little ticker on our website. How many days of people's lives?
Yeah, like burgers sold on McDonald's, billions of days added to life.
I like that.
Literally.
So that you can scroll on TikTok instead.
Yeah, burn it somewhere else. Yeah.
Or go hang out with your friends or watch or binge on Netflix, right?
Well, speaking of, so Chad, you were just talking about FS Tech and how things were going ape over there.
Yeah. And of course, RLC is coming up. So
yeah,
where you guys are going to be. So that experience, I mean, FS Tech was wild. There was so much energy, people crying there
wild.
too.
We had somebody cry at your booth.
We
You
did.
were
I
there for that,
remember
weren't you? Yes,
Yeah.
the dude was
I was
crying.
there. Yeah. Like, I've been waiting for this for 20 years. Yeah.
So with RLC coming, right, you're imagining the people.
Can we get
come
another
see the
person to
dive demo.
cry?
Yeah, I was like, what are
I'll
you
bring
looking
onions.
forward to showcasing? What kind of experiences are you trying to create there for people who are seeing this maybe for the first time?
Yeah. Well, we've got a few tricks up our sleeve, so come to the booth beyond what we showed at FS Tech. We've got some really neat stuff that's kind of, that we'll be kind of sneak previewing a little bit. We've got a lot of what people love us for. They'll be seeing how we can handle all the different environments, like to your point, Chad, all those kind of what ifs, the hard questions. We'll show you how we do all that.
But we're actually have actual storage there. We're gonna have this is gonna be experience, not a PowerPoint, not a reel, not a VR. This is live,
not a video either.
Yes,
there's gonna be the real thing. In fact, if you want people, we'll put it in your hands and let you do the counting. I'd much prefer do that. So yeah, and you'll see how fast and how real it is, and you can play with the SKUs and then go back the items and take one away and count and see how the number goes down. All that stuff. First-hand experience in this product.
When I met Alex on your team, I think it was Mertech, and he told me about this, the first thing I told him was, I'll say a more polite term, pound sand, it doesn't exist. And then he said, no, it's real. And I go, well, then I think you remember the call. I had to come there and play with it because I just didn't believe it. And for anybody listening, and this is 100% true, think about the first time you put on virtual reality, like a good one, you put it on your head if you've done this.
Yeah.
There's a dissonance between what you think you're going to experience versus what you experience. The first time you get it, you're like, holy beep, I didn't know the technology come this far.
Yeah.
It is like butter. Like when you do it, it flows. Like the values are on the screen, the overlay is there, it's on top, it's crisp. Yeah. I mean, like what you did is just blows my mind still.
Like, and I think that's a great point. This product has an incredible business case. Again, speed, labor savings or reallocation, and then on the back end, reducing, your cost of goods, saving you on lost sales. The other really important piece is that employees love to use it. It feels like a video game.
Yeah.
So in addition to shaving off 45 minutes of wake-up time, when they do it, they're having fun doing it. And that's a critical part of this because, for them, that's really important. It improves their sentiment. For the company, it means, wow, we're getting inventory done. And so that's a really critical part of this.
Yeah,
and by the way, on that business case, not to get into too much of the turmoil we're all facing, right? But we all know there's a little bit of turmoil where tariffs are going along right now. And, for restaurants, it is of great concern. I know that the American Restaurant Association put out a statement about their concern. Obviously, not every product restaurants sell is grown in the United States. If I'm having strawberries up here in in Seattle at this time of year, you can be sure it's not because they grew in around here.
Almost
So,
no coffee comes from the United States.
Almost no coffee. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what does that really mean? That means that the price of those products that people are purchasing just went up. Wide range from what, 27% to 45%. And that is directly tied to inventory. That is inventory.
Yeah.
Inventory
Cost
is
of goods.
really, and so what that means is now the importance of reducing waste, the importance of also having the product your customer wants has just gone up in cost.
Yep.
And so all the more why you need a way to be able to place an order, so count to place that order that is highly accurate.
You may have just answered the question I was going to ask, but I'll give you the opportunity to come up with a different one. When you go to a show, right, you walk into the trade show floor, I'm talking about the marketplace, the exhibit hall, where all the things are. You see all these booths, right, and the energy and the activity. For some people, that's exciting. Some people, it's anxiety inducing. Some people, it's in the middle. That person who just walked through and they're feeling that, what would you make sure they knew about NomadGo in the midst of all of that tech chaos?
I mean, like the information overload, basically.
Yeah.
Why
are they walking over to you?
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it is just the experience, right? There's a lot of interesting technology out on that floor, but there's nothing that's as emotionally compelling as using our product. I feel confident saying that. And if you don't believe it, come on by, because I think you will believe it. It's what Beck was talking about, right? That amazing feeling. So if you just want to be amazed, that's the first thing. But then the second thing is to think about, what does this mean if I put this in my stores? How much labor am I going to save or repurpose? How much more accurate will my orders be? And I think that's the second piece, is it's kind of self-evident once you use our product. It's like nothing anybody has ever seen before. It is going from the horse to the electric car. Okay. I mean, that's how big a difference it is.
It's the Waymo. Waymo.
Waymo. Yeah.
Waymo.
Yeah.
I don't know, can't get that one right. The Waymo of innovation for accounting.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you, David, because it's not just hospitality, right? Everybody counts something.
Well, yeah, and we're already moving into retail. So, I mean, and I know that QSRs actually, some of them have a retail components to them, right? And so, yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Well, we're coming up on time with David. I want to make sure we're respectful of his, because I know how many things you have going on. Everybody, just so you know, it's booth 122 at the Restaurant Leadership Conference, right? The show will start for Nomad on Monday morning. There'll also be a booth exhibit time on Monday and on Tuesday at the event. As this thing flows out, we'll make sure we have contact information for everybody that's going to be there, so we can make sure you can get to the Nomad team.
In fact, let me tell you why we're excited to go to the Restaurant Leadership Conference.
Awesome. Tell us about that.
Yeah. The people there are leadership, right? They're decision makers.
Yeah.
Right? They are thinking about these issues we've been talking about all this last hour, right? COGS, cost of labor, right? Employee sentiment.
Yeah.
Right. And so these are all really critical issues for them. And especially now with the onslaught of these tariffs, those problems have just now grown in size.
Yeah.
And so, we understand that people from Wendy's are going to be there. People from Burger King are going to be there. I saw that our great partners, PAR, are going to be there. And if people don't know, we've got a tremendous partnership with those guys where our data is integrated with their system. So then you can place the order through there. But there's also some really interesting other kind of companies out there. Toast is going to be there. In fact, they're catty corner from us. So we're really excited to be able to get this out to all these people in leadership positions, because we believe they're going to be the ones that are going to see this and almost instantaneously understand the benefit that this kind of technology brings. There's so many, and of course now, you hear it all the time, AI this, AI that, we're doing,
Right.
voice AI, we're doing this AI. I think people are going to realize, wow, inventory AI, that's the real deal. It
Yeah.
works, it scales. People should know we are deployed in some of the largest QSRs in the world. So has this been proven? That's the other hardball question, right? Oh, sure, you can do it on 3 stores. Can you do it in
Can you
3,000
scale?
stores?
Yeah.
It can scale. And that part of that is because all the work's being done on that device. So it's very flexible in that way.
That was awesome. So when do you get in? Are you in on Sunday or Monday? When do you arrive?
Get it on Sunday.
Okay. And so, and I imagine that because there's a limited window for show floor time, but I imagine that because we have access to that room, we could probably set some private meetings with people who want to have a one-on-one with you to actually walk through it in person.
You bet. Yeah. And if anybody wants to reach me, just send me an email at davidg@nomad-go. Set up time. Let's talk. I'll give you a tour. I'll let you play with it. We'll have a good time. It'll be fun.
Fantastic. And I know there's also a dinner or a reception that Nomad's having with PAR as well.
That's right. We've got this great reception that we're hosting with PAR. And
Monday night.
Yeah, looking forward to having people come there and talk with them there. And it's going to be, how can you say no to Arizona?
No,
especially it's raining here. No surprise here in the Seattle area. So I always look for an opportunity to find the sun.
Very good. Well, hey David, thank you for investing this time with us. Chad, do you have anything before we hop off?
Looking forward to seeing you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Always fun. I'm glad we're going to see each other in person and spend some time together.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast.
Always a good time.
Yes, it is. So NomadGo, booth 122, right? And just as a couple last takeaways, Nomad solves a number of problems. Right, one, cutting down the time to cost almost 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, depending on how hard it is for you right now, right?
Yeah.
The other part is that this is a tool that is gamified. The generation of people that you're hiring today will vibe on that. This is something that I can get the fastest score going through this thing, that I can be really quick and efficient with the stuff I do. I think even more importantly, because it's made for this kind of workforce, people using this technology are going to be an employer of choice because they'll have the solution where other people are going to be in there slogging it away. I got Nomad over here. I get to work here a few minutes. I get to do the fun stuff on my job. I think that's a really neat piece of what Nomad brings to the table. And probably the most important part is you impact both food and labor, the 2 biggest cost centers of the business Nomad addresses.
Yeah.
I think it's worth talking.
Okay, I'm going to leave you with one final note.
See, we keep coming back.
Inventory is cash. Imagine, instead of those bottles of ketchup and the bottles of mustard sitting on your shelves, just imagine instead stacks of cash, because that's what it is. It's stacks of cash just sitting there. Okay.
Getting older and not earning interest.
Be okay with your CFO saying, well, I finalized the financial statements and I think I'm about 85% right on these numbers. No, you'd never allow them to do that. But that's what we are allowing today when we let people count inventory manually. They're only about 85% accurate. So with NomadGo, you get that number to 99%. And that is all the difference in the world.
David, thank you so much. Chad, thanks. Everybody else, get thee to Arizona, get thee to the RLC event. Come see us, and we will be seeing you guys live from there. We'll be doing a podcast from the RLC event on Tuesday the 15th, so please stay tuned. We'll have a lot of different guests on there. But everybody, thank you so much. David, thank you. And Chad, of course, my awesome partner.
Thank you, Beck. Thank you, David.
Take care.
See you next week.